Hello, my name is Harvey and welcome to my shop. Today we are going to be, will be part 2 in this cabinet build series. And today we're going to be working on cleaning up the area where I plan on putting the toe kick in the cabinets. And we'll be building and assembling the toe kick today and installing it in place. So stay tuned and welcome to the channel. Now, one of the things that we're going to be the thing that we're going to be doing is between this point here in the window sill and this one over here, this is where this cabinet is going to set. And if you may have noticed, right in the middle of it is this irrigation control center. Now, this is no big deal for me because my business that I own and I run is an irrigation company. So taking care of this is not an issue for me. But I'll show you how to take care of something like this if you do it. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this controller out. This here is just shielding the wire coming in, which is a multi-strand wire that comes in from the outside. My cabinet is going to come down to this point here, and there's going to be to about here. I have enough wire where I can come in behind the cabinet and bring it out, and I can put underneath this window here, I can put a different type of controller. It is a ratio controller. The ratio controller, if you go look at it, is a controller that basically hooks up to your internet. It has no buttons on the front of it or anything, but all your wires hook into it. It's connected through an app on your phone, and you can do that. And that's why I will be able to basically put it down here and put it out of the way. It's not going to get in the way of anything that's going on in the shop, and it won't interfere anymore. But for right now, I don't have to worry about this because today, in this part 2 of this series, we are basically working on the toe kick. So this is up and out of the way, but I'm going to take a little bit of time, finish cleaning this wall, cleaning everything up here, and then we'll get back into doing the toe kick. You can notice there's been some changes since the last time we were in here. First off, the big workbench that was back here, I've kind of modified it a little bit over here. I cut a little bit off of both ends, back to the original set. I'm going to use this temporarily as a place to work off of, to put parts on, to store stuff, just until I can get something else taken care of. But I did cut the 2 ends off. The materials are over on the other side of the shop, and I'll reuse those for something else later on. I also picked the parts up off the table. As you can see, you may or may not be able to see this here because it's panning up on my face, but right here, I'll reposition the camera a little bit where we can work on this, because here's where we're working today. We're using the base bottom for basically a work surface stretched across my table and my table saw, and we'll be putting all these pieces together. But over here on this table, I took all the parts for the cabinets and I kind of stuck them up here, and we're going to work from here. So in a little bit, we'll be right back. Now these pieces right here, these are going to be the long pieces, or the front and back of the toe kick assembly. Now in each one of these, it's going to be 3 boards, and I'll explain the reason why I'm using 3 layers of 3/4 inch plywood here in a second. But basically, this is going to sit here, and if you can imagine it real quick, it's going to kind of be put together like this when it's up against the wall and sitting down. We're getting ready to build cabinets on it. So basically, we're going to have 3 of these here, and I'm just going to kind of set them in place so you kind of can visualize how this is going to go together and why it's going together like this. Okay? And just bear with me a second. Okay. So, all right. So, going to be approximate. And I'll explain this here in a little bit. So, basically the way this is going to work is, if any of you have paid any attention to a garage floor normally is sloped from the back of the garage next to the house downward out toward the garage door. And it has a little bit of grade in order for snow and water and stuff that comes in with your car to be able to exit the garage. It's also done that way too. A lot of people's water heaters are in the garage, and it's done that way so that if you have a break, ideally the water, it goes into the garage and then it goes out underneath the garage door. But when it comes to putting cabinets down or trying to put cabinets in the garage, you have to deal with that grade. If you're going across the back of a garage, like behind the camera, there's a flat part that I'll be putting cabinets on at a later time. That's perfectly level. I don't have to worry about dealing with grade. But over here against this wall, in between the windows, there is a grade. And from one end of the cabinet to the other end is about, the grade equal in the 8 feet equals about 1.5 inches. So there's a couple ways to deal with that. But the easiest way, one way is you pop a chalk line, you take and anchor everything to the wall and you shim it up, put a toe kick on the front and call it good. That's one way you can do it. The easiest way is basically build a toe kick assembly, which is basically what we have here. We have front and the back, and instead of having toe kicks attached to individual cabinets, we build the cabinets basically in a perfectly square fashion. And we build a toe kick that's totally separate. Now, what I'm proposing here is this is the length of the cabinets. This toe kick assembly is allowing 4 inches from the front of the finished cabinets to the front of the toe kick. Now there'll be a finished piece that goes on here all the way around when we're done, and it'll be scribed to the floor. But so that we can get the cabinets set, get everything level and make it the easiest possible install and provide the best amount of support, we are doing it this way. And basically what it is we're going to have 4 inches from the front of the cabinets to the toe kick on the front. And on this particular type of cabinet, we're going to do 4 inches from each end into the toe kicks. So that basically, to me, it gives it a better look. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, well, you could just use 2x4, and I could. But the problem with 2x4s that you get today, that they are very seldom straight and perfectly straight and not crooked. So the reason I just bought a little extra plywood and about an extra half a sheet. So what this is, half a sheet is what this is. And I cut 4-inch pieces out of it because this is going to be perfectly straight. It's going to be perfectly flat. And the reason why I'm layering, I could layer this up too thick and that would probably be enough. But the main reason is because these leveling feet. Now, I went on Amazon and found these, and I had to look around a little bit because there's a lot of these leveling feet out there that will, you can level about 3/4 of an inch. But trying to find something that would go beyond 1.25 inches was a little bit tough. But I finally found them. They're there. You just have to look for them. And basically what it is this piece here basically gets screwed into the bottom. Well, what you have to do is you have to have a drill bit that's big as this outside so that you can screw in, and you have to screw in deep enough so that you can have a space for this to go up into. So and the thing is, the drill bit's going to be about 1/2 inch. This is 3/4 material, which would leave 1/8 inch on either side, or you try to drill in between two pieces and you split it, or it doesn't go well. So I decided, well, we'll just do 3 and we'll put it in the center, and then we'll have one on either side. That'll allow enough material once this is glued and screwed together. That'll give it plenty. Plus it also gives us enough where these feet can sit perfectly up underneath it here, and these have where you can take a wrench and you can adjust them from the bottom, bottom side and screw them in and out however you want to. But that allows it so that if you put two of them together, you'd have to get them perfectly, and you may have something sticking out here. There's going to be plenty of room here, and when we can take a piece when we're finished to go on the front and the sides and miter the ends so that it's a mitered cut, and we can scribe from underneath the cabinet along the floors, so we leave at least an eighth of an inch between the front of the toe kick and the floor. That's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to give enough space so that ideally there's no way for water to wick up, because this still is a garage. There is some potential for moisture to be in here for whatever reason. Even though I have a mini split unit that has a drying feature and nature of an air conditioning unit, dries the air out naturally. So that's the reason I have that in here. But there's still that possibility that the concrete's going to have some wicking capacity. So that's another reason why we're using these feet instead of using wooden shims or whatever. One, it gives us perfect adjustability. And I'll show you, there's going to be 4 of them, or actually there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these feet on the bottom of this. So we have the ability to perfectly level and support throughout in 2 places throughout the length of this. So we'll have plenty of holding capacity. Now, the second thing is so that to have that 1/4 inch. One, so that it doesn't wick water. And the other thing is so that we don't have snakes or mice get up in there. Okay, I'm going to say snakes. Where I live, I get snakes in my garage is tight, but around the garage door there's always a gap, and I've found rat snakes in here before, and I just really don't want to be going up to this cabinet and working on it and then have a snake come out and bite me for whatever reason. Rat snakes are harmless. They're good. They're good for the farm and everything. And if I get one in here, the rat snake itself won't bother me at all. But it's those other critters like rattlesnakes and copperheads that I'm worried about getting up underneath, benches and stuff that, where I may have my feet. And I work in Crocs a lot, or sometimes I even go barefoot, and I don't want to suffer a snake bite in my wood shop. So that's the reason for that. And that's the reason why we're doing it that way. Now, the way I intend to build this, this is basically how it's going to be built, but it's upside down on the bench so that I can show this to you. But this side is going to go against the wall, and when we get this perfectly leveled up, we're going to go through here in 4 locations, probably one here, one here, one here, and these are approximate because I haven't made these measurements yet, and one down there. Now, there will be a hole drilled through here, and then probably there'll be some type of little spacer maybe put in between the concrete, or maybe a piece of rubber or plastic, just so we don't have that problem coming in here, because we're going to be going into the concrete subwall on the side of my garage there that the mud sill sits on. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drilling these 4 holes in here, and then we're going to be drilling through them and drilling into it with a masonry bit that is 1/16 of an inch less than the blue Tapcon screw that we're going to use to anchor them to the wall. So once we get this built, we get it level, then we're going to take and drill through. Now, there is a problem here, and that problem being is I have a rotary hammer drill that I use for my business, and to get I cannot get it down in here to drill directly through. So basically what I'm going to do is we're going to get this all done. We're going to make our points and get these in on these 2 here. Now basically what's going to happen here, let me push this forward for the time being. Well, that won't work. Anyway, we're going to take these pieces and we're going to mark them, and we're going to attach them with screws through here into these, through this first layer on both sides. Then what I'm going to do is these 2 outer pieces on both sides, we're going to have everything marked, and then what we're going to do is we're going to glue and screw these two pieces together, and then we're going to drill down and put these feet in here and anchor them in. Once we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these and we're going to drill the hole. We're going to drill the holes in the areas for the 4 Tapcon screws with a regular wood bit. Then once that's done, we have our holes where we want them and everything. And what we're going to take these two pieces with the feet in them, and we're going to take them over there. We're going to put them in the right location, make sure everything's level, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the masonry drill, go through the hole, drill our hole in there, and get those in. That way we have our holes already drilled based off of holes that are already in here. That way we have them, they're the right height along that wall, and they're the right depth so that we can get the Tapcon totally sunk in and sucked up to the wall. So we have a tight fit to the wall. Then what we'll do is we will bring this piece back, and then what we will attach, glue in, and then we will screw in from the inside, attach this to, having a bolt running through each one of these holes to ensure that that hole stays lined up here. And then of course we'll attach this. And once we have this all attached, we'll flip it up. We'll take it over there. We'll attach it to the wall and make sure everything's perfectly level. Then at that point, what we will do, we'll take the baseboard top, which I talked about earlier. And basically what it is, it's once the toe kick is built in place, what we will do is we'll put this base on top. And part of it is because the cabinets are going to cantilever 4 inches on either end, as well as the toe kick off the front. And once we have the toe kick base in, and it's level and attached to the wall and it's permanent, then what we can do is we can put this toe kick, this base bottom on. And remember, I cut this 3/4 of an inch on each end shorter. Basically what is, we can put the cabinets on top of it, attach them together, attach them to this, and then we can put the ends on, and the ends will come down and cover the ends of this, so there'll be a nice clean look. And by the time you get the face frames on there and everything, it's going to be a really nice look. And we'll get into that more as we go, and more as we build the cabinets, and these things will become more apparent as we put it together. But I wanted to make sure that we had a good idea of what my intentions were, how we was going to put this together, and you know, that way as I start to put this together, I probably won't talk as much during the rest of the video, but I'll just kind of show you. That way you kind of know the steps and sequences that we're going to do and how this is going together, instead of sitting there scratching your heads going, what in the world is this guy doing? I've never seen it done this way before. Yeah, like I said earlier in the last video, this is a little bit different way of doing it, but it's been done before, but I've made some changes where I personally makes me feel better, because I'm a little stickler for the little details and making sure everything, even though you can't see the details, that they're done properly. All right, so just stick with me and we're gonna get busy putting this thing together.